On this week's episode of An Echo of Glory, we're in a celebratory mood. It's our 1 year anniversary here at Launchpod Studios. We'll also look back at the defeat to Chelsea and ahead to the Liverpool game with friend of the show, Jamie Carragher. Welcome to another episode of An Echo of Glory. Joining me today, the two Jakes, Jake Robson, hello.
Hello.
And Jake Saunders.
Hello.
You recovered now? All recovered? Your legs are working again?
Yeah. I thought you meant from last night.
No, never.
All right, let's go straight in.
I like this two Jakes though.
Yeah?
As a name.
The two Jakes. You used to do a pod, the two Jakes.
The two Jakes.
James, any more room in the schedule here at Launchpod Studios for the two Jakes show? But just quickly before we talk about Chelsea, we have some positive news, don't we?
We do.
Again, it comes via the Tottenham Hotspur under-21s. I mentioned on Tuesday that they had a cup semi-final, Premier League Cup semi-final at home to Forest. They were 3-0 down. Second half FC with the under-21s as well. They came back and won 4-3.
I assume that's why they played the weak team a few days before, didn't they?
Yeah.
Against
They
Palace.
got dropped 5 by
They rested
Palace.
everyone.
They rested everyone. What tweet was it you said you saw?
Well, a lot of people were saying, play the under-21s, throw the City game, and someone said last night maybe we shouldn't play the under-21s.
So they're in the final against Fulham. Not 100% sure where or when that is, but good. So the women are in an FA Cup final. The under-21s are in the League Cup final. The seniors are losing lots of football matches. Let's go to Stamford Bridge. Jake, you were there.
I was.
The lineup was Vicario in goal, Porro, Romero, Van der Ven, Emerson, Basuma and Sarr. He changed that midfield again. Johnson, Kulu, Son and Richarlison. A lot of that because of the news since we recorded last that Werner and Davies. So our whole left side's basically out. Other than Son, who can obviously play there. I'm not going to say how they lined up, but their bench resembled a creche from the Fulham Road. I mean, honestly.
Well, the oldest player on the bench was 21.
Yeah.
So.
What's that, Jake?
Hadn't heard of any of them.
No,
Or the one, Cassady, who was on loan at Reading. Apart from that, proper full-on youngsters.
But their first team's still decent, but we've looked at this and Newcastle, this one's out and that. There's no point doing this one and that one because it doesn't matter. To Tottenham anyway, it doesn't matter. So you were there. Talk to me.
Well, Matt, the starting lineup comes out. Obviously, the first thing that it's one of the first things is Maddison.
Yes,
has been left on the bench, which we kind of discussed, didn't we? In the earlier in the week, we said maybe it's time for Maddison just to have a blow. And Kulusevski playing through the middle. I personally don't mind it. I quite like him through the middle. I think I prefer him through the middle now. And I think the rest of the team more or less picked itself. If you think about it, Johnson got to start on the right once Kulusevski's in the middle.
Yep.
Son on the left.
Yep.
There's no one else really. And then it's whether it's who you want to see in midfield.
Well,
He doesn't know. Who knows who we want to see by this point?
Yeah,
Who knows?
Maybe not. I think Sarr is definitely. So we were looking at two places once we decided Kulusevski's playing instead of Maddison. It's two of three, isn't it? That's basically what it is.
It's a bit late now because we've got 4 games left. You don't think he should have? I know that form changes and players get injured. Just stuck with something and run with it.
To be honest, I know we're not Man City, but I don't necessarily. Okay, Rodri plays every game. I actually think Basuma. I think Basuma's his 6.
Basuma looks like he's lost that bravery.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. But I think that's what because you're asking for, do you think does he know continuity? I think he sees Basuma as his 6. I know Højbjerg played a couple of games, came off the bench, but you'd say over the course of the season, well, not you'd say, the person that's played 6 when everybody has been fit the most has been Basuma. So that I think is, at least as this squad is, as it is now for between now and the end of the season, I think Basuma's his 6. Then you're looking. So if you accept that, you're then looking at who is going to play in the other 8 once Kulusevski starts, and then it basically is Bentancur or Sarr, isn't it? So it's take your pick.
We did this the other day, but I'm going to update it
because Højbjerg's not going to play in the other.
Because he can't.
Yeah.
So last night's midfield was Basuma and Sarr. Right. Tottenham Arsenal was Højbjerg and Bentancur. Newcastle was Basuma and Bentancur. Forest was Basuma and Sarr. So it's taken him 1, 2, 3 games to get back to that. West Ham was Bentancur and Basuma. You can't do that in central midfield. Look at the best teams. It's solid in there, and there's patterns of
You
play.
can't do that anywhere in terms
Sorry,
of
I'm not
pairings,
sure I
though.
agree with that. Arsenal all of a sudden have stopped playing Jorginho, and Partey's come in and been playing.
They're also in a position
Yeah,
where
but that's very different as well.
they've had a lot of games. We have no rhythm. I think constantly changing the team in that crucial position. I think you can switch out your wingers and you can maybe switch out your centre forward.
The problem is
it's
they
the
were
engine room.
awful last night. Well, what do you do Sunday? Just go with it again.
Change it again.
You bring Bentancur
He'll
back,
play
and you bring
Bentancur.
Maddison back, and then they're awful again, and one of them comes back for City.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think it's just about losing games. You can
City-
lose games and play the same
City,
team.
I'd start Jamie O'Hara and Colin Calder in the
Not him.
midfield.
But what I'm saying, you
it's
can
not that bad.
you can lose games and go, we'll play the same team again. But the performances are so poor, you can't justify playing Basuma and Sarr again, can you? I thought Sarr was awful.
I don't know what we do.
I actually thought I thought the first half, I thought Basuma, there was a bit more of, he looked a
Little
bit. He got on the ball a bit, couple of step overs, but in the right place. I think some of the passes that he picked up, I think he just looked a bit
His
better than he
levels
had
are
done.
just so low, though.
Yeah.
His levels are dropped so much.
No, they have been. But what I don't think is mentioned enough is that he was ill in the AFCON. He had malaria.
Yeah, but that was 3 months ago.
There has been
Yeah, but I think we now have to appreciate that
But he
maybe
shouldn't
that's
be playing then if he's
maybe
ill.
not.
There has been a trend someone picked out. The players that have gone to AFCON, the players that went to Asian Cup have not had good second halves of the season. I get that. The big
Sarr, Basuma. I mean, look at Salah.
I was about to say, look at Mo Salah.
until Sunday.
I don't see him just pulling out.
Yeah,
a
but is that
worldie.
always a theme, though? I remember
No, but
Son
it
coming
doesn't-
back in 2019 and he absolutely tore the league to pieces
No,
when he came back.
I'd say
Yes,
it's not
he did.
always a theme in years gone, but it's certainly been a theme this season. If you look at play, I mean, Son hasn't been. Throw some other ones. I don't know who else went to the Asia Cup.
Nicholas Jackson, didn't he go?
Salah's been the big one, though, hasn't he?
maybe that could be a factor.
I don't know.
Maybe, yeah.
So he rightly dropped Maddison, I think.
I think so. Do you know what though? The way Kulusevski, for me, fits in to playing as a 10. I'd almost like to be at the point where if again, I know we talk about other teams. If Phil Foden gets left on the bench, he's not dropped.
No.
So is there now? Not maybe Maddison has started more or less every game he's been fit. But I wouldn't have a problem if there was some kind of next season a bit more of a.
I think there's a difference between there's a
alternating.
difference between being taken out the team and being dropped. Maddison was dropped. If you almost feel City rarely lose games, so Foden's and De Bruyne, they're never really dropped. Maddison was dropped.
Yeah, no,
He was
no.
dropped.
I'm not.
But I know what you're saying,
I'm not
though.
trying to say. He
I know
wasn't,
what you're
but
saying. Heading towards next season.
I'm saying heading towards next season.
Yeah.
Should there be? I would be much happier if there was
I
less of a
agree.
reliance on Maddison to play 10, and therefore, if he doesn't play, he's not dropped.
We
It's more
wanted
of a
that. We wanted
rotation.
that with Kane for years.
Yeah.
How many games were there where we could have
Yeah.
gone? You know what? Kane could have been on the bench in some games, and it would have helped him out a lot. I agree.
I'm saying I think we could be at that point where I think Kulusevski is good enough to play there. He's not as good as Maddison, and it's not, you're not quite getting the same, but I think you're getting enough out of him playing as a 10.
I thought Kulu last night was really poor though.
I think he's been
He
poor
added
for a
nothing.
while. You see the stat about
I just
Lo
liked him.
Celso?
I like him so much more in the 10. He pops up in places where you're not expecting
Yeah,
him, bit in the
but-
left channel, and also when
Yeah.
when he picks up the ball up in the pocket and he has the game in front of him, he picks out. He's better at picking out passes.
Yeah,
when
he
he's
is.
out on the left,
Yeah, he can't.
he gets or the right. Sorry, I think he gets completely stuck.
The one person that's barely been rotated in is Lo Celso. Not his biggest fan. He comes on, creates 3 chances in the 45 seconds he was on the pitch.
Yeah.
You might as well give him a go.
Yeah.
Everyone
He
else
is
is
hard. I was actually looking that the last 3 games, I think he's played 20 minutes, right? And we've been 2-0 down after 70 minutes last night, 3-0 down, maybe 4-0 down at Newcastle. Okay, the game was gone. And 3-1 down against Arsenal. He's got 20 minutes in those games. He brought Brian Gill on 10 minutes earlier than Lo Celso last night.
Yeah.
That is an insult to the fans. Genuine insult.
The only thing that you can draw from that is that
He just doesn't like him.
he's going to be leaving. Because
Yeah, but Højbjerg's leaving as well. We know that.
yeah, but it's he's got.
And Sanchez was leaving and played in that League Cup game 5 days
But
before.
the problem, yeah, no, I agree.
I
I
don't
agree
know.
with you. I'm just saying, if you're going to take off Bissouma, the only replacement in the 6 is Højbjerg. Whereas you can bring on Bentancur, you bring on Maddison, you can leave Lascelles. So there's enough players in front of him.
A massive fan of Lo Celso like you, and not many Spurs fans are massive fans of him. But he often comes on, and even in such limited minutes, he often makes a difference. Even last night, you think he got on the ball, he was a bit brave. I know the game was gone, but he played a few nice passes.
I think it wasn't gone though. Had we scored,
and he played well in those. He scored in City away and Villa at home, and I know he always lets you down with injuries, but when he's played, he's been fine this season generally.
Yeah,
I don't really want to talk too much about yesterday. We can go on about set pieces.
But the other thing that was actually quite worrying about yesterday, I thought, was in the first half. Really, Vicario, he put two. He had the error about 5 minutes in where he didn't come for. Was it
Madrid. Jackson, yeah.
And he started, because I was sitting really high up, so I could see. He started to come, and then he stopped, and then he couldn't. He hesitated, and then by that time he's finished.
Who's this? Sorry,
Vicario.
Ah, yeah.
And then there were 2 passes that he lofted out, and he just put straight out for a throw in. Now, not having a go at him per se, but you think when he's doing that,
he's gone all Lloris with his feet.
He used to be,
but maybe there's obviously something that's just missing from the
Because
team in general.
their teams are squeezing us there.
No, but what I'm saying is Vicario's been solid with his feet. So if I'm just mean mentally, confidence-wise,
you take it back to the Chelsea game in was it November? He was coming off his line for fun, and he has become a bit hesitant. He used to just commit, and it seemed like last night he panicked. He panicked.
Which
he
we
came
haven't
out and then he
seen.
stopped, and then he was sort of like maybe worried about being sent off.
I've said I think there are 3 triggers. When your goalkeeper's not playing well, you're conceding set pieces, and your away form is rubbish. I think you got problems. So let's just park the game. We were rubbish. We lost. We always do to Chelsea. I had a bit of a rant on social media last night. I wasn't the only one. What's going on? I know this is his first season. The eye test for me, I'm going to, our good friend Gary Diamond is telling me to stop moaning, and there are more positives than negatives. For me, the positives are the first 10 games of the season. Feels like a lifetime away. The positives are when we're playing attacking football. I get that. We're not parked in our own box, just trying to play players on the counter. I don't think we're attacking very well, but yes, we are playing front foot football. Those are the positives. I know you've got some stats, but off the top of my head, 2 wins in 7, 1 win in 8 away from home. The only wins in those 7 were Luton and Forest, second half FC. We had to panic and scramble back to win. The eye test for me is this isn't progression.
I think the worry, I've actually got those games written down. Since the first 10 games, depleted Newcastle, Forest away, Everton at home, Bournemouth at home, Brentford at home, Brighton at home, Palace at home, Villa away, which was really good, Luton and Forest.
Okay.
That's basically saying, and any remotely difficult away game,
we've lost.
or top 7 club, we've not won.
Yeah,
I'd expect
to win those home games.
Everton, Bournemouth, Brentford, Brighton, Palace, Luton, Forest. That's 9 home games.
You'd expect to get 27 points anyway.
And even during that period, we lost to West Ham and Wolves at home, games you'd probably expect us to traditionally win.
We've taken 1 point from West Ham, Arsenal, and Chelsea all season.
2.
Arsenal and West Ham
and Arsenal. Yeah.
Well, come on, then. I've asked the question. Where's the progression?
I think the progression is, in general, you're looking where we were this time last season, where we're higher up in the league table.
Can I stop you there?
Yeah, we got less points. Is that what you're going to tell me?
No. Okay. I asked Thomas Broik, our friend. I said, Thomas, last night I messaged him saying, Thomas, help me out here. I'm struggling with Ange. And he said, if I said to you at the start of the season, once you lost Kane, you'd be 5th. Chelsea and Newcastle and Man United have been poor, and that happens every season. Every season someone's poor, so you've got a chance of finishing 4th, 5th on the basis of that. 5th is a great achievement, but if you stutter into that place with 3 wins from your final 11 games...
I completely agree. You can't just keep... Yeah. We can't just keep going, we're 5th. Everyone had us down as 8th. That's overachieving. Because if we lose the next... The likelihood is... we will probably get 6 points. I know people say, we might get 4, we might drop against Sheffield. We'll probably get 6 points, right? 66 points or maybe 64 points. But it's all good saying we're 5th, but we had 26 points from the first 10 games, and we're now probably going to finish 10 points outside the top 4. which is an Aston Villa team that have been in Europe all season. That is not a great season. Fifth sounds a lot more glamorous because people thought they had us down for 8th. We've got 34 points from our last 24 games.
Oh, Jesus.
That is terrible, which is probably now going to be 34 points from 26 games. That is appalling. We can't just keep going, we're fifth. Fifth's a good season, let's move on. We're 3 places above where you expect us to be. I can't buy that.
But you can't look at the season in a snapshot of 10 games or whatever it is. Either way.
But that's what it feels like.
Yeah, but you can't, because the whole point is you have to look at it after 38 games.
But the last 28 games
Like
of the season are
Arsenal
going to
may
have
not
been
win-
appalling.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not even. Everyone keeps saying if you flip it round and all that. But the fact of the matter is that that maybe we overachieved in the first 10 games. So therefore, you can't even look at those first 10 games and say, well, we were on X amount of points, because if we've overachieved, then level that out over the course of a season. That wasn't realistic either. Do you know what I mean?
I know,
we weren't as good as that, and therefore we're not as bad. And the season will suggest, the table will suggest, we're not as bad in the last 10 games as we have been if you average it out over the whole season.
Let me ask you both a question.
That's basically how it works.
You
right?
need roughly 70 points for top 4, right? Roughly. So we needed 44 points from our last 28 games, right? When we beat Palace and we were top of the league, if someone had said to you, if we don't get in the top 4, is that a failure? What would you have said?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we were nailed on.
Those are the facts.
26
26 points is so high. It's such a high
When
amount.
Son scored the goal against Chelsea that was disallowed, I said we're going to win the league.
But
I genuinely said it.
I didn't expect Villa to be as
But
relentless.
Villa have still been very flaky.
Yeah,
they've been flaky. But
Villa were on 23 points after 10.
don't keep clean sheets either.
Yeah.
They just shipped 4 at home to Olympiacos.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
And look, do you know what? I said this to you after we beat Villa and 2 months ago, and I always want Spurs to win every game, but 5th is better than 4th for us as a club right now. I know it doesn't bring the financial benefits, but being in the Europa League without the dropouts is so much more beneficial than the Champions League. I get that. But after the 10 games, this season has been a massive failure. You can tell me we're probably, 12th in the league since then?
I think 10th.
10th. Below Bournemouth, right?
But the problem was we clearly overperformed and overachieved for those first 10
So
games.
therefore you're saying that we should probably be 6th or 7th.
Well, I don't know how. How'd you get to that?
Because you're averaging it out. So
Well, maybe I don't know. What's the XG? What's our XG conceded and all that? Where are we in that table and that kind
do
of
you want
thing?
me to look?
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
For the record, I'm not.
But
I'm
then
not.
if we're lower down, then what? Then we've overperformed
Sack
all
'em
season.
all.
I'm not. For the record, I'm not all doom and gloom. It's just a worrying trend moving into next season. And I said to someone yesterday, if our form since November continues from the start, the league table will look a lot uglier. Because we got so many points that you sort of thought, unless we lose 7 or 8 games in a row, we're going to be 5th or 6th.
I agree with that. The only thing I'll say is over the summer, people were looking at last summer into
Yes, I know. I completely
last season
agree.
into next season, and I sat in this very chair and I said, no, it just will be. It has to be different next season. We're having a new manager. We're going to sign new players.
I completely agree.
And I'm convinced the same, because not only we'll have the same manager. His idea, he will have another summer to get his ideas in, sign more play. We know we need a couple more players in a couple of positions. And I don't see this carrying on over. Let's face it. If this carries on into October, he's probably gone.
But this is my point now. This run in, especially the last 3 games, has been so bad that the next 10 games, or the first 10 games of next season, already feel really important. If we win, like we ironically feared this season, and we're on 15 points from 10 games like we have in Nuno, Andrew's under massive pressure already.
Yeah, I'm not going to look up XG conceded because I can't be bothered. But I don't want to look at a table. You said the table since about when?
It's November the 5th was Chelsea, so then.
The 6th was Chelsea. So
The 6th.
since then, which is the day after, so I did a 7th of November.
It's what, 10 wins
We're
from...
9th. 10 wins from 23, behind West Ham, behind Man United.
And how
Bournemouth are
many
5th.
How many points off top for the record?
22.
And I'm not saying we should be competing, but that is a lot. That is a lot.
It is, but we
But
had
like, more-
we had
How
the
many
good
points off
10.
fourth?
The point is we had the good 10 games, so that's why we're now 5th. So that's what that's. I just don't. I don't like these like since then, because then you're just disregarding what came before.
No, I'm not saying that doesn't count. I'm not saying I'm not one of those people that's going to say if we didn't have such a good start, we'd be 12th now, because they definitely count those first 10 games. I'm just using it as a big sample size now.
So why do we think that is?
I don't know. I really.
I guess the more worrying thing is maybe he doesn't know.
Because we're forever going to talk about this Chelsea game of, you know, this Son offside goal and all these injuries, but we've had, you know, everyone spoke about in January, you know, we need to get this player back, and we've had everyone back now. I know we've had, you know, Udogi's injury. We've had generally a fully fit team for a lot of games now, and that sample size, you know, if you break those last 24 games down, we were better in the first 12 games with a load of injuries than we were now. That is worrying.
There was a really good tweet from a guy called Lord Bibbles, great name, friend of mine, Lee Bibbering, who said, people talk about give Ange time. Time interests me if you can see a plan. Now, I debate that Ange does have a plan. We know he has a plan, but if you concede the same exact goal every single week and you concede an average of 2 goals per game every single week, it's negligent to suggest it's going to get better just because another manager, and he means Klopp Arteta comparisons, were a success after getting time. I think we all agree. I don't think anyone in this room, anyone that's ever been on this pod, wants Ange out.
No,
don't want him out.
Not, no.
Don't want him out. I said pretty much since December, I want him to start adapting, and you can go back and you can listen to it. For me, this isn't knee-jerk, but a lot of people tell me that I wanted to lose to Arsenal because it would suit my agenda. I want Tottenham Hotspur.
I thought you were a Levy stooge.
Don't say I want Tottenham Hotspur to win every single game.
I do.
Because you don't.
Apart from Manchester City. You know, the reason I sit here and all of us do this pod is because I love this football club. I hate it. There's a fine line between love and hate, right? I want Tottenham Hotspur to win every single game. And this is, for me, it's been a shit show. The last 7 games, we've beaten Luton and Forest. Give him time, 100%. Give him money, and already the Levy out people are back again. They were very quiet when we had 26 points from 10 games. Forget those idiots, right? Seriously. This is not about Levy. This is about the manager on the training ground sorting this out. And I think we talk about October, November as our favourite time to sack managers. I'd probably give him beyond then. Because
I also think the Cups and Europe are could help him as well.
Well, rhythm.
Yeah.
Not
no, but I mean,
football.
like if we're 7th, but in a League Cup semi-final and a Europa League, there's a lot more to play for. This season was so much.
Great point.
The league. Do you know what I mean? If we're 7th in January in the League Cup semi-final and in the Europa League last 16, you know, that's not far off what could be considered a really good season.
Yeah, you're right. The cups, going out of the cups, haven't helped him in that regard.
Yeah.
Also,
And the
not
lack of
playing
Europe,
not playing any football.
I worry about us in Europe unless we sign another fullback on either side. I mean, the drop off.
Emerson Royale, bless him.
I did feel for him last night, because not only is he not a very
He's played all across the back four
he's
this
played
season,
all,
hasn't
but
he?
also to play him from the left in that he just didn't know where to be.
When he
I was
pops
so
up in
high up, I
midfield,
had a
it's
really good
just-
view. He was getting in other people's way. I mean, I felt bad for the guy, because as a sort of traditional right back, he was fine, wasn't he? At times, last season or whenever.
We need to get
But
we cannot go
put him
into
as
next
an inverted left fullback. I mean, I felt for the guy.
Isn't that a problem, though? Isn't that part of the problem? He just sticks to this. You're going to play there.
The difference
I don't
between
mind that so
Udogi
much.
and Royale is crazy to ask them to do the same role.
Yeah.
But he's
He's the
the
third, because Davies was injured as well, so
We-
he's the third choice.
This is not me picking on individuals. I've never
But you're
really
going to.
rated Royale and Gill moving into next season.
Oh, yeah, they'll be
I know
gone.
we've got a few injuries, but that can't
No, they
keep
will.
happening.
Why's Perisic been
In
allowed to go?
2024, we've
Yeah.
got rid of Gill. We're still playing Gill.
Perisic
Lo
should be-
Celso.
Is he playing again, Perisic? I think he is.
Yeah, he is.
But he should be playing for Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah.
I know it was part of their deal to sign that
We could have done with
16-year-old.
him.
Could have definitely have done with him. Left wing back,
Set pieces
left
as
wing,
well.
set pieces. He's
Defensively,
tall.
yeah.
Yeah. The only thing I would say about that is then you're looking at, you don't necessarily, if you're looking at the squad as a whole, he thinks to himself, well, I've got Udogi, I've got Davies. You know,
We might not sign Werner.
This is water, by the way, but at the moment, I wish it wasn't.
you're probably, when you're looking at the squad over a season, you're thinking, you don't necessarily go into a season thinking, I need 3 fullbacks on one side. So that, if it means we brought in, I don't know, when did he go? Did we bring in, who came in? He's obviously been replaced in the squad by someone else, hasn't he?
Who? Oh, sorry, I have to admit I was.
Perisic.
It must have been around sort of. Was it not when Werner came? I don't know.
That
He was
Jan-
injured.
That was January.
He was. Yeah, but did he not? Did he not go before the window? Like it got agreed. I can't remember.
You went in January.
Oh right. Well,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
So, do you trade a third left back for another winger? Yeah, possibly. At that
I
point.
think so.
So that's probably why that's happened. But
All right.
I don't need to. Can he come back?
Who?
Perisic?
No, what, for 4 games?
No, for next season if he's on loan.
Yeah, but I don't think he will. Should we talk to someone who was at the game?
Yeah.
A little bit of
Someone
perspective.
else.
Little
Got
bit
more
of
to say.
little bit of insight. Someone who's got more to say. All right, we're going to talk to Paul Belverstone. Delighted to be joined once again by Premier League reporter Paul Belverstone. Paul, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
So we'll go straight in. You were there last night on the touchline as we fell over against Chelsea. Talk to us. How was the mood? Maybe during the game, post match. How did you see it?
So beforehand, I spoke to a fair few Spurs supporting journalists, and most were kind of in the pessimistic camp, just because it's Chelsea and we have so little luck there. I know someone said that they feared about Chelsea's front four, even though they were obviously having lots of problems elsewhere on the pitch. One particular reporter was full of optimism, ridiculously over-optimistic, telling me how this was the day we were going to win our second game there in 39 or whatever it was. He couldn't see any way we weren't going to record this victory. Can't think who that was, Jake Robson.
He's Mr. Positive. Honestly, it's sickening.
That's not strictly. I said when the fixtures came out. Where was it? About 5-6 weeks ago.
You said, look at this team sheet. You had the team sheet in your hand and said, there's no way we can lose to this rabble.
I thought I just didn't see it. Didn't see it. That's fair. That is fair. I did say that.
Okay.
So, yeah, and then there was just a sort of a sinking feeling as it went on, wasn't there? The first 10 minutes was all right, and then it all just turned into nothing really from Spurs. That first half was just abysmal. To have back-to-back London derbies, not manage a single shot on target in the first half of either game is unforgivable.
Agreed.
Second half was a lot better for a time, but it's just so infuriating, the whole thing on set pieces that Ange isn't having at all. No, not a problem, mate. Well, it is. And I think a lot of that's got to be down to the manager giving players an excuse as much as anything, saying it's not an issue. Well, it is an issue. And then also, surely, one of the centre-backs, or particularly the keeper, has got to be yelling at his teammates when there are 3 unmarked players at the back post. And then if Shalabar hadn't got that in the net, if he'd put it across goal, there were 3 more unmarked players because everyone else is just ball watching. And again, for the second one, it's a cracking free kick by Cole Palmer. But when it comes back, there's a bit of ball watching and Jackson pounces when surely there's got to be some aggression, intent. Go and attack the ball at both ends. We weren't attacking it in the Chelsea box. We weren't attacking it in our box. I don't understand it.
I don't know if you kept your eye on it, Paul, but was there a reaction from Ange when we conceded yet again from a set piece? Did you have a glance?
Well, all through that sort of the middle period, especially of the first half, there was all sorts of reaction. Like Sky, I think, put out a 6-second clip on X or Twitter of him fuming and raging, and then apologising to the fourth official because he stepped out of the tiny technical area. But that went on for half an hour. He was absolutely screaming at his players. He was angry that they weren't switching it early, and he was angry when they were passing it backwards and not pushing forward. And you know, I wasn't in the tunnel, but I would find it astonishing if he wasn't really tearing into them at half time, which obviously then got us the reaction we did in the first 20 minutes of the second half. I thought it was quite telling that none of the subs came out to warm up until probably the last 5 minutes of half time, when Chelsea's subs were pretty much out there the whole time. And yes, he got a reaction, but how much of this tough love is, you know, how long can that last? Because if you are just constantly shouting at players, which I'm sure he must have done after Newcastle, Arsenal, and then today, given the way he was reacting on the touchline that night, you know, players get bored of that quite quickly, don't they?
He also made a triple substitution, didn't he? Not long after half time. A lot of sort of the way that you think about a triple substitution, it's obviously when you're playing badly, but they didn't really work, did they, when those players came on? Some suggestion maybe that you can see that his demeanor's changed. Do you think, I'm not going to say he's lost his way, but do you think he maybe become a little bit scrambled, bit muddled thinking in the last few weeks or so?
I think he's obviously dealing with some players who've lost a lot of form, hasn't he? Because, that's why he dropped James Maddison. Maddison then comes on, didn't really do anything. There was obviously no reaction there. You had a 20-year-old right back for Chelsea making only his second Premier League start. He saw off Son, he saw off Brennan Johnson, and then he was up against Brian Hill, which, any of us four could have coped with pretty much. I think, while I am angry, irritated, didn't enjoy my drive home last night in the slightest, I do still think this season has turned out better than I feared it would in the summer. And I think it's that tired old cliche as well, that if you reverse the season, if we'd started this season with back-to-back defeats in London derbies and then gone on a 10-match unbeaten run, we'd be in a very, very happy place. Unfortunately, it went the other way, and now it's all doom and gloom. But with a transfer window this summer and, a reset after a trip to Melbourne, I think with a bit of luck, there's reasons to start feeling quite positive about next season again. But I just want this one to end.
Paul, in terms of the team, beyond the difficulties with set pieces, the defence is a bit all over the place. Midfield looks disjointed. The attacking players are struggling. What do you think the biggest thing this team needs moving forward, whether that be with the manager or, in the transfer window?
I think we've got to upgrade Richarlison. I think Richarlison's gone through some very good patches this season. He's obviously had some bad patches on and off the field. But, Son is much better as a support striker or coming in from the wide. I think we need another Harry Kane, don't we? But I think that didn't work yesterday. Richarlison looked very rusty, and he also just didn't get the ball. And that felt very un-Ange-like, not getting the ball up front as much and as quickly as we have. I saw there's been talk of an upgrade on Bissouma as well. Bissouma's form has sort of dropped off a cliff a little bit. He was such a revelation at the start of the season after the time under Conte, when apparently he wasn't good enough for a place in the squad some weeks. Hopefully, like I say, after a summer reset, a lot of these players can then have an arm around the shoulder rather than a screaming Aussie in their face, and things can pick up again. But after last night, I can make a case for us needing 11 new players at least.
You sat behind a lot of benches, a lot of dugouts, during your journalism career. Reporting career? Did you sense anything shift away from maybe the players not believing? I know it's hard to tell, but you can sometimes pick up body language.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. I think this is a blip. I think we've had a blip earlier in the season that was very much injury related, and I think now, the end of the season is creeping up, and we haven't really got anything. We haven't got anything to play for. There was a lot of
we got to lose to City on purpose.
Well, and I do wonder if the players have enjoyed not having Europe this season, and they're trying to get themselves out of all of the European places just at the end of the season. But no, I did ask a couple of questions beforehand about, on the quiet, how are things? Yes, Ange hasn't been happy the last 3-4 weeks. Why would you be with the Newcastle, Arsenal, and now Chelsea results? But there isn't anything terminal or gravely worrying there. I think there isn't a big fallout with the players, anything like that. Judging from what I saw yesterday, I saw it. If again, just to reverse things, if the first half had been good and then the second half had been wretched, you'd have think, well, maybe they have given up on him. But actually, he did still get a reaction out of them again for the second half. Yeah. We played some very good football for a long time. It looked like we were the only ones that were going to score until obviously then we shot ourselves in the foot with another set piece.
I'll try and leave it on a positive, but before we go, a prediction for Liverpool, please.
Oh dear goodness! I mean, there's two teams that have completely given up. Isn't it? I was at the West Ham game that Liverpool had last weekend, and that wasn't hugely entertaining either. I don't know. It's another ground where we never get anything from, and why would we now? We've had a lovely refereeing decision against them already, so I can't see us getting another one of them. I don't know. Let's be. You said you wanted to finish it on a positive. Let's say we'll nick a 2-1 win, but I don't believe it.
James, cut the bit where he says I don't believe it out. Paul, listen, really great to talk to you, and great to you were there last night, kicking every ball with the rest of them. So really appreciate coming on and telling us all about it.
Keep up the good work, chat.
Two things interesting to hear. Paul's thoughts on being there and Ange getting angry. I think that's one, not criticism, but I'd noticed that a lot of the time Ange doesn't seem to say much. I think our guests that have played with him said similar. Doesn't speak that much during the game. But yesterday, obviously on the back of Newcastle and Arsenal, he got really, really angry. But also interesting, Paul saying the same things that we are. Give the bloke time, but probably just needs to adapt.
He needs to show us why we should give him time as well.
I thought
but
he
it's
did
all
all
good
right.
saying, he show us why we should give you a bit of time. And I think we should, of course. I'm a massive Ange fan, but show us. Give us something to sort of, get behind and end the season on a positive.
Well, I think I do think the first. Now I will look back to the first 10 games. I mean, we saw enough there to, and I still thought against Arsenal. I said this last week in the first 20 minutes or whatever it was, 10.
Yeah, we
15,
were not bad there. I agree.
And the way we pressed them on the edge of their penalty area, won the ball back high up. I mean, that is good to watch. So I've still seen enough. Obviously, there's been some. We conceded goals all season basically, but I still think there's enough going forward to make me feel like if he can tighten things, because he's kind of, as I've said also in the past, Poch sort of builds the defence first, and then I would say my abiding memories, if you in a negative sense of Poch, was sometimes breaking teams down. With Ange, okay, in the last few games, it's been more of a problem. But our biggest problem with Ange is that he's built from the front first almost, and gone backwards. So I do think that if you look at it that way, I think it looks worse when it goes wrong, because if you're building from the back first, your issue, you concede less goals, but you don't score. So you maybe draw games, whatever. Whereas with Ange, it kind of the worst of it, I think, when you're building something, looks worse. So I think that, but going forward, I think
I totally agree. My fear is, I know it's just easy to say, it's not St Mirren and Ross County, but it's not St Mirren and Ross County and Cerezo showing my Japanese knowledge.
And who else did he mention last night? And Qatar and
who said that?
Jonathan Liu said it on Sky because he was the Australia manager, whatever other teams he was playing in the Asia Cup.
This is the Premier League. It will chew you up and spit you out.
Yeah.
We all agree. Give the man time.
Yeah.
Right. Should we park the Chelsea stuff and look forward to another fixture on Sunday? A place where we're really, really good is Anfield. Should we get a friend of the show on?
He's here, is he?
He's here.
He's here.
Want to talk to Jamie Carragher? Let's talk to Jamie Carragher. Delighted to be joined once again by Jamie Carragher, still a Liverpool legend, not former Liverpool legend, a Liverpool legend, Jamie Carragher. Thanks for coming on again.
Thanks for having me, Johnny. Jake, thanks a lot.
So I'm going to go straight in. Another defeat last night against Chelsea. I've got some concerns that are growing and growing. I just wanted to get your thoughts on Ange, maybe the start, but where we are now.
I think where you are now, I think it was always going to be difficult for it to be any better than where you are now in terms of when you look at the league. I don't think many people would have thought Tottenham would have been in the top four, but it's probably gone now, I would say.
Yeah.
On the back of last night, you've obviously got tough fixtures as well. Previewing going to Anfield, which won't be easy. Obviously Manchester City to come as well. So, yeah, I mean, I think because it promised so much to start with in the football, it almost just feels like it's gone a little bit flat towards the end of the season. I just think it's important that the Tottenham finish well, even if they don't make the top four, because you never like that feeling as a club where you go into the summer, it just feels a bit down, a bit flat. And then if you don't start next season well, people start using the end of last season, then they start saying, they've won 1 in 6 or they've won 2 in 10, when you start counting the end of the season, if it doesn't finish well. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's been a lot to enjoy with the football, but there's definitely a lot to improve, certainly defensively, when you look at defensive record. And the strange thing about your defensive record is you probably say all your defenders have played pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, you're probably happy with your two full-backs. You're probably happy with Van de Ven, who's coming at the back. Romero's a World Cup winner. But you've still got a really poor defensive record. So that probably tells you more it's about the setup of the team and maybe the makeup of the team higher up the pitch. And that will have to improve next season.
I think we've got good defenders, but we don't have a defence. I want to ask you about set pieces. We've let in 11 goals from set pieces in 2024. Only the bottom 4 have as many in those sort of figures. When you start conceding goals at set pieces, have you played in a side that has done that and you've had to change it? Can you rip it up with 4 or 5 league games to go and go, actually, no, we're going to change it now? Or do you have to stick to those principles? What will they be doing on the training ground to try and rectify this? And why is it happening?
Yeah, they won't change the system now this late in the season. It might be something that you would do going into the following season and give yourself a lot of time to prepare that in pre-season and try different things out. But we've had that plenty of times at Liverpool, and every club's had that where they have a spell where they go through conceding goals from set pieces. And then you've got to look, is it basically individual mistakes? Is it the system? Have we not got the players who are aggressive enough to go and attack the ball? So we famously, when Rafa Benitez first came in, we were zonal marking. So that was like a big thing people were talking about constantly. Every time we conceded a goal, it was down to the zonal marking. And Rafa Benitez never changed from that. He never changed from zonal marking. It was just basically, he said we weren't implementing the system how we wanted. And then when we got the right players in the following season, after his first season, we had a great record. Now, the reason for that was because we brought Peter Crouch in, who was 6'7". We brought a goalkeeper who was more aggressive, Pepe Reina, coming off his line. And we brought a midfield player, Momo Sissoko, who was a lot more aggressive and 6 foot plus. So that had a big bearing on it. But I know his comments, he came out talking about a set piece coach on the back of the Arsenal game. And I think it's something everybody will eventually have as the game sort of, keeps progressing. But once you come out and say that, it's difficult to then go and get one. But I mean, to set up defensively from a corner, I mean, I don't think there's not a million different ways of doing it or systems really. You've got zonal marker, man to man, a mixture of both. Getting players in the right positions. Is the team powerful enough? Do you need to actually recruit more physical players, bigger players? Because when you think of the game now, it's a lot more technical. So your front 6, you're asking them to get on the ball, create things, get in pockets. It's difficult to have 3 or 4 6 foot plus players like that. Normally, technical players are quite nimble and small, so that can cause you a problem now as well. So it's listen, it's a problem most clubs have at some stage, and it has to be fixed.
Yeah,
Jamie, it's obviously a low point of the season with 3 defeats in a row, City and Liverpool to come next. From what you've seen this season, potentially with the addition of some money being spent in the summer, do you still think that this could work with Andrew at Tottenham?
Well, what you class as working?
This is a big question. That's a big question.
I mean, is it being a top 4 team? Because I think it's interesting with Tottenham, because I think if you're not I suppose it's the same with every club, where we probably all look at it slightly different than people outside. Now, I think most people outside, and myself included, would say Tottenham have had a great season if they ever get in the top 4. Whatever season that is, I think they've done really well. And I think that's always a positive. And I don't ever think that should be taken lightly, getting in the top 4. And that's my point about you've taken this probably till 4 or 5 games of the season to go, where you're in a great position to sort of get into the the Champions League, without Harry Kane as well. So, and on the back of where you were last season, I think it has been a positive season, because you've lost probably your greatest ever player in the club's history, or certainly one of right up there. And then a new manager's come in, completely different style. And I suppose the domestic cups have been a disappointment. Yeah. I think you'd want one run in that, considering you had no European football as well. So, yeah, I think in the main it's been positive, but there's definitely, rooms for improvement. But yeah, I mean, you just need to get that trophy. That's why the domestic cups are so important for you, because I don't think, anyone really sees Tottenham ever really competing for the title. I don't, and I'd love to be proven wrong at some stages. I'd like to see different teams up there, but I think Tottenham should definitely every season be having a right go at the domestic cups. And I know that was a bit of a mess when I think it was Fulham
Yeah.
in the Carabao Cup where
Yeah.
you know, the manager completely changed the full team. And I don't think you needed to do that, as I said, with no European football.
Can I ask, you mentioned no European football. We've played the minimum number of games this season. City beat us in the FA Cup. Arsenal played 4 games before we played them last week. They looked leggy, but we looked like we had no rhythm. Is there something that actually playing games is so vital? There was a positive spun that we've got no games, we'll fix it on the training ground, but actually the key is to playing games regularly.
Yeah, spot on. That would have been difficult, that. I'd have rather been in Arsenal's position coming into the game rather than Tottenham not playing for so long. And training can go well. You can iron out mistakes. You can get, you know, 11v11, small side games. You can do all you want, but, you know, you need to get that rhythm. Jurgen Klopp uses that word all the time, you know, about players in rhythm. It's not just about, the back fit now. You've then got to get playing again. And I think that was a bit of a problem for you. But what I'm saying, it was a problem. I actually thought he played quite well.
Yeah, they weren't bad.
I thought, you know, you couldn't believe the scoreline at half time, you know, considering sort of Arsenal didn't really create any chances, really. I mean, the Saka one's a big chance he scores from it, but set pieces, you look dangerous. You know, it looked like there was some sort of rhythm in the team in terms of, you know, playing through Arsenal, creating chances, because very few teams actually do that right now. You can't actually get at Arsenal. That's the strength of Arsenal right now. But Hughes managed to do it. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't great last night, was it?
No.
Jamie, moving on to Liverpool, obviously Arne Slot. What do you sort of make of it? Someone that was linked with the Tottenham job before Ange got it. What do you make of it, and what's the sort of feeling amongst the fan base? Because it's obviously, you know, potentially a bit of a surprising appointment.
Well, I think the man on the street who goes to watch Liverpool home and away, but is not maybe on social media or across, you know, all the websites talking about clubs and managers, they probably wouldn't have known too much about him or heard of him before, if I'm being totally honest. You know, people on social media and Twitter, and I think that you've obviously fall into that bracket of the hipsters. You know, you're aware of everything that's going on, all the new systems and ways of playing. So.
Bedroom tacticians.
Yeah, they'll have been. Pardon?
Bedroom tacticians.
Yes, of course. There's plenty of them. I've got loads of them telling me this morning what I'm getting wrong. But no, I mean, he's got a great record in the jobs that he's done. That's all he can do. I think it is a big jump from Feyenoord to Liverpool, and you know, he's not got much experience in the Champions League. But I think we're in an era now, not an era, sort of right now, a time where there's not those big managers, you know, with sort of, you know, European Cups on the CV. I mean, usually had 2 of them. You know, you think of, I know it didn't work, but you think of Jose, you think of Conte coming in. Those type of figures don't seem to be about right now in terms of getting them as managers. And I know Jose isn't, Conte, I think, has just got a job, but it feels like they've just gone out of fashion, is maybe a better way of saying that. And it feels like a time for the up-and-coming managers. So you were looking at Amarin or Xabi Alonso, Slot. You know, these managers are maybe going to be the next big thing, and that's what Liverpool are banking on.
Obviously, we beat you fair and square at White Hart Lane earlier in the season. Nothing to talk about there. Is there revenge in the air with a player like that in a game like that?
No, I don't think so. I don't think anyone looked at that as if it was anything to do with Tottenham. It was more a case of, obviously, the Premier League or the referees, Howard Webb maybe. But, you know, that's long gone. And I think actually Liverpool used, you know, that situation to actually propel them to where they are this season. Because I actually think Liverpool have overachieved in some ways, certainly in the league. I didn't expect a title challenge from Liverpool this season, considering where they were last season, the changes that were made, and it almost felt like a building block to sort of the next couple of years. But the fact Klopp's leaving now, it felt more like, you know, Liverpool had to go out with something. So Liverpool are probably in a similar position to Tottenham now, where it feels like it's gone a little bit flat, and they'll be desperate to sort of finish it well. And I think this is Klopp's penultimate home game, so I'm sure the Liverpool supporters want to put on a big atmosphere, get a great result, and then you know, try and make some sort of memories in these last few weeks for Jurgen Klopp to go away with.
And another question, we had Jason Cundy on Tuesday before we played Chelsea. We've got a horrific record at Stamford Bridge, 1 win in the Premier League. We've won twice at Anfield in the Premier League. Again, I asked Jason if players know they've got a bad record at certain stadiums. Do players know that the opposition have got a terrible record when they come to places like Anfield? And does that help?
Well, I think Liverpool have got a few players who've played against Spurs now for a long time. I'm thinking of sort of Van Dijk, the goalkeeper, Trent, Robertson, you know, maybe others. They've been there a long time, and maybe that record against Tottenham, that's in their minds. I don't think they're going back historically years and years, really. But Yeah, I'd be well aware of it. And I'd be aware of it when we were going somewhere. If we had a great record, and I think it does play a part, you don't actually go there believing that you're going to get something because you think, oh, we never win it yet. This is our bogey ground. This is a team who causes problems. So Liverpool's is actually Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Would you believe under
Yeah.
Klopp? But no, I mean, I'll be honest with you. When I think of Tottenham coming to Anfield, I'd always think, oh, that's a game we can win, just because of the nature of the results in the past. Really, I think there was a little spell under Harry Redknapp when Modric was there. I think a couple of years. I don't know if you came and won or you left
we did.
one. Yeah, there was a little spell where you're basically better than us. You were finishing above us in the league for 3 or 4 years, and then it went back to normal. Thank God.
I want to go back actually to talking about Ange and progression. Am I right in thinking that? I think I asked you this last time when we played you at Wembley. I think we won 4-0, 4-1. He dragged Lovren off at half time. Yeah. Was that a penny drop moment? Is there going to be a penny drop moment for Ange? We've had a couple of ex-Ange players on here who have said, "Don't worry, he's got Plan A and he'll stick to Plan A, and that's a positive." For me, I think he needs Plan A and a half. Just a final question on Ange: do you think he does actually need to adapt, or he's got to stick to his principles, like a Klopp may have done or Arteta?
You know what? I think about this question all the time, especially when I'm doing Monday Night Football. And I don't think there's any right or wrong. But I think in the past, when we've said a manager's got to change, I think it's almost, we make it black and white. Whereas, like, for Ange to change, he's got to go get everyone behind the ball, play a bit more direct, play on the counter attack. And we say that's adapting. I think if you ask Ange or you ask Pep or you ask Klopp, and ask them, do they play the same every week? They'd tell you no. But we would see it like they do. But I'm telling you, there'll be lots of different things going on in the game that they're trying to implement or trying to do differently. But the days of a manager playing one way one week and doing something completely different the next week, those days are gone. It's not going to happen. I grew up in an era like that, where if we were playing at Anfield, we would go for it, we'd press high, we'd get on the ball, we'd try and play. And then midweek, we'd go away in Europe, and we get everyone behind the ball and try and play in the counter-attack. That was the way football was. When I was playing and before me, I'm not sure it is like that as much now. I do think people stick to the principles a lot more, but there's tweaks within it, rather than sort of being, completely one way and then completely the other. And I do think there needs to be tweaks. Definitely, you can't just keep doing the same thing and conceding goals. So Tottenham have to find a way next season to be tighter defensively. Otherwise, this Ange ball, whatever you want to call it, is not going to work. And eventually he will lose his job. That's just a fact.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. I think he's got to adapt a little bit. All right, go on then. Make me feel better. Prediction for Sunday.
I'm going to go 2-1 because
you think we'll win 2-1?
Okay. Yeah, we'll win 2-1. Liverpool can't keep a clean sheet at the moment, so Tottenham will score. Yeah. And Tottenham can't keep a clean sheet at the moment, thankfully, as well. So I think we'll just have a little bit too much for you. I think it'll be a tight game. I think it'll be a good game, and looking forward to watching it.
Fine, brilliant, Jamie. Thank you.
What
again.
are you going for?
Oh, go on. Well, listen, I've had to be careful on here because I've actually predicted draws against Chelsea and Arsenal, but in my head, I thought they would win. So actually, this time I'm gonna say a home win. I can't see anything but a home win. I think we're really down at the moment. Jake,
3-1 Liverpool. Yeah,
3-1 Liverpool.
To be honest, I watched the game the other day. It popped up on my phone. I don't know if it was like the anniversary of it last year's game. Was that last year?
The 4-3.
Was that last season?
Yeah.
That feels ages ago. That popped up on my phone.
Yeah.
I saw the Conte Tuchel touchline bust up was last year, and it looked like about 4 years. Felt like about 4 years.
Yeah, ago. I saw that on my Twitter the other day. Yeah, that does. I was commentating on that game. That was brilliant. That feels about 3 years ago.
Yeah. Look, a lot's happened at Tottenham since then.
Yeah,
it's a roller coaster.
But if Jota win, it'll do me. Oh no, Jota's out. Oh, you're lucky Jota's out. Actually,
Jamie, it doesn't matter. We've played Newcastle reserves. We played Chelsea sort of reserves. Doesn't matter. We're in a grind at the moment.
At the moment, you mean for the last 25 years?
Yeah, my dad actually apologised to me. I was walking back from the Arsenal game on Saturday. He sort of said, "This is my fault," and it is.
We get a lot of that in Liverpool with Everton.
Yeah. Well, my wife's an Evertonian. She actually said say hello to Jamie after the win last week. So there you go.
Oh, what a way to finish.
Yeah. All right, Jamie. Thank you so much for joining us again,
boys. Thanks a lot.
Great. Talk to Jamie. Recovered from his trip to Dortmund. See that? He enjoyed himself on the yellow wall.
He did.
Where were you, Jake? Then the eagle-eyed among us may notice that you weren't actually asking any questions. Or you just mine and Jake's questions were so good, you just let us go.
You
with
left
it.
the room.
I left the room. I was out there. I was cleaning up the yellow wall, cleaning up the mess that was left.
Look, but you've heard it. Always talk sense. All right, yeah, he's calmed me down a little bit.
He said he'd only come on if I wasn't here. So
Yeah, hates you. Just a couple of things. Well, one of the things he said was he basically said what we've been saying. You have to adapt. And he probably is adapting a little bit. I'm not really seeing it on the pitch, but I'm sure he's not just standing there telling them to play the same way, blah, blah, blah. But I think we're all in agreement, even a great analyst like Jamie Carragher, that got to be careful, Ange, I think.
I think the thing that that people that they want more of, they want him to acknowledge, because I'm sure he is acknowledging all the issues, but he doesn't want to almost admit to them. I think people just would like maybe a bit more of like, yeah, this is, obviously we're working on it, or set pieces.
For the first time last night.
Of course they're working on set pieces. Like the idea that
yeah.
I mean, it's just, and also I think some of the things that he said have been misquoted. He didn't say, I haven't read anywhere him saying, I don't care about, or I'm not bothered about it. I think he said, there are bigger things that I'm interested in, or I'm working on other things. He didn't just say, I don't care about set pieces, because obviously he cares about set pieces.
He said, I think if that was the biggest way to bridge the gap, didn't he?
Yeah.
I think, and the general point he's trying to make is if we just need to be better everywhere. And
But he should have given off an impression to us as supporters that we're going to try and do something about it. That's almost what the fan base needed that after Arsenal. There are other areas, but we're also going to address this major issue.
I think if the goals we conceded recently, if we conceded that Saka goal, you're like, okay, that's because we're trying to be front foot, annoying, but I get it.
I don't mind that.
I don't mind that. Going on after Newcastle, I think their last goal was Cher, was it?
Yeah,
a header. So since then, we've
5 set pieces.
just crosses.
Yeah.
We're conceding goals from crosses. Forget the Palmer free kick yesterday. That was pathetic from Højbjerg and was it Son?
Cooler.
no, Son
It was Son.
Son.
Son and Højbjerg.
Oh, I thought you meant we were giving away the free
watching
kick.
the bounce.
Yeah, that was
Yeah, it's not just set pieces. But all right, we gave Jamie our predictions. You weren't around to give them.
It's the first loss I've done this season, actually.
I wanted to give losses against Chelsea or Arsenal, but I felt this was a Spurs pod. I can't do that. But I would have.
What are you going to say?
No,
that's not true. We thought a high scoring draw was a very reasonable possibility. Even Cundy said that.
Against Chelsea?
Yeah.
No, I would never. No, it's Tottenham Hotspur away to Chelsea.
What, we said 2-2, 3-3?
Yeah, but I didn't mean it.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying. I know it's
If you say a
hindsight.
draw cautiously, you mean defeat. But
Correct.
You don't want to say it.
Correct.
I said 3-1 Liverpool.
I said, I think 2-1 Liverpool.
Jamie
Jake?
said 2-1 Liverpool.
Is that what Carragher said?
Yeah.
What do you want me to say?
I want you to give your prediction. When you say
nil,
cautious score draw,
0-0.
he
It's
thinks
not
we're
really
losing.
0-0.
0-0. When was the last time we had one of those?
Yeah,
we
it's
drew
not-
0-0 at Anfield. Jamie mentioned that period where we
Was that a
think we
0-0
won
draw?
we won 2-0 in 10-11 and then drew 0-0 in 11-12 with Louis Saha up top.
Good memory. Are you Gareth Dace Mark II? Can you tell me the date?
I
11-12 is when we were collapsing.
I can't see us winning. But Liverpool haven't been that great.
Doesn't matter.
It's probably a good time to play them, although it's a good time to play us.
I'm going to stick with 2-2.
Okay.
I kept saying 3-1, and we beat someone 3-1. Was it Luton?
Forest.
I had a dream.
No. Oh yeah, maybe.
I don't dream football that often, to be honest, despite the fact that golf's my entire life. I did have this fear yesterday that it's going to be a Newcastle situation where we're going to be like 3-0 down after 20 minutes. But I actually had a dream we were 5-3 down at half time.
What, against Chelsea?
Against Liverpool.
I'd probably take that.
Yeah, I'd take that.
I'd take that. That'd be fun, wouldn't it?
Last year we were 3 down after 20 minutes, weren't
Yeah,
we?
so we go, in my dream, we go 2 down, 3-2 up, and then go 5-3 down at half time. I don't know what happens at full time.
Would you take that now and play it out and risk it? Get a 6-5 win?
Yeah,
Of course.
superb. All right, gentlemen, done. Some great guests. Thanks for turning up. Jake Robson.
You're welcome.
It was bright and early today, thanks to the scheduling of a Thursday night game away to Chelsea. Are you here next week? I haven't asked you.
We'll find out.
I will find out. After the show, you're going to tell me you're not here. I've got to find some guests for the Burnley game. You here next week? Right, we'll talk about it We will be back next week after Liverpool, previewing Burnley. See you soon, and up the Spurs.